Don't breathe.
I don't even breathe.
Don't breathe.
I try to get in my little spot.
You're lucky he's willing to come back.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, there, we finally get this going. So we got Lacey with us today.
We do.
Mrs. Mo.
Mrs. Mo, listen to it.
Mrs. Mo. We're gonna talk about some stuff that's up your alley. I'm not as well versed in it as you are. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, are you nervous? I am.
You get nervous every time, don't you?
No, I don't.
How many videos has it been?
I don't know. This is episode 56.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, that's we're doing a podcast.
Yeah.
That's right.
St. Patty's Day.
Where have you been?
I don't know.
Yeah, St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
It's 50.
Been chasing the leprechaun all
It's
morning.
in the 50s and pouring rain out right now. You can see grass.
Yeah. Spring is here in northern Maine.
Deer out
Yeah.
in the fields.
Yeah.
Are we done with the snow?
Well, we always have more snow. I mean, I think we average 10 inches in April, so we're only middle of March, so we'll definitely have more snow.
I was looking at the blower thinking, boys, I'd like to take that off.
Yeah, but
I better not.
No, don't take it off. But the long range forecast is for
don't say
all the temperatures are above freezing.
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
Well, that's promising.
Don't say snow.
But yeah, we'll have more snow.
Yeah.
Don't take your blower off.
I won't.
There's always the potential Mother's Day weekend.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
2 years back, we had what? 8,
Well, that's
10
May
inches of
for
snow.
crying out
I know.
loud.
There's always that small.
Yeah, that's why I say we're only middle of March.
But I'm going to
right
hope
now.
for the best.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about the importance of writing, right? Maybe a little bit of music stuff.
You're the boss.
No, you're the boss. Hey, we get that on record.
What?
You just said I was the
gosh.
boss. Save that one.
You want me to decide who's the boss? Or?
Edit. You're the boss of this podcast.
Yeah.
Not even that.
Yeah.
Before we get too far, though, so a longtime listener, Phil Piscatella.
I was going to say.
What are you laughing
I
at?
was going to say, before we get to that, we'd like to thank our sponsor.
Yeah.
Do we have a sponsor?
Yeah, it's Paul Guiou.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's Philip Piscatella.
Poor Phil. But yeah, he's been a long time listener, and he sent me an article of.
Oh, he did? I remember his name.
Yeah, he won a hat.
Yeah, when we did the drawing. Yep.
Yeah, so he stays in contact.
Is he the one that sent the picture too?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd asked him.
He sends pictures periodically.
Yeah.
He caught a nice striper a few years back. He's from New York.
Yeah.
And anyway, he sent me an interesting article. It was quite a poaching scheme in upstate New York, Tonawanda, actually. I know what you're thinking. I know just what you're thinking.
I was. Tonawanda, New York.
That's King of Queens.
The King of Queens. That's Arthur.
Yeah. Oh, no kidding.
That's an episode of King of Queens. As soon as you said it, it was like ding.
King of Queens experts.
I knew when I say Tonawanda, Lacey's gonna bust a gut.
Yeah.
So anyway, they had quite the poaching scheme. What they did, they went through to extreme lengths. They created like fake profiles online, so social media profiles, as like an attractive. I think it was using a female. They posed as a female wildlife photographer, like an attractive female wildlife photographer. They are infiltrating wildlife photography groups to get a handle on where big bucks were in restricted areas. So places you couldn't hunt, I guess, in New York, if I'm getting everything correct. And so they would figure out where people were seeing big bucks or getting big bucks on camera or whatnot. And they'd go in with compact bows and hunt them and shoot them illegally.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So they got discovered. A guy shot it. It was like a 16-point buck that staggered into somebody's backyard.
Yeah.
Had been arrowed. And the guy heard the snap of the string.
Oh.
And the buck wandered into his backyard dying. And anyway, they had quite an elaborate.
So was this
system.
taking place in the fall?
This was it was November 14th, 2022.
Yeah.
Is when that big 16-pointer. But then they started figuring out that these guys had quite a network of people that they were working. And it was quite an elaborate scheme to shoot deer illegally. And I think they're fine. And it's still under investigation.
Did they ever?
I think as of right now, there was 2 guys that were implicated in the whole thing.
Arrest the person who actually shot it that day?
Well, no, they had to.
Like, did they find who?
Police arrived quickly, but the poachers had already disappeared. But there was trail cameras that captured images of the men. They posted those pictures online and then, found the guys. But yeah, it was quite an elaborate ring.
How did they get out of that? Like, what's it worth?
I know, right?
Like, are they harvesting something to sell?
They just want to shoot big deer.
Is it really worth it to get arrested? And
I mean, no, they got, look,
seriously.
But their fine was only, they had $1,075 in fines and revoked their hunting licenses for 5 years.
How much was it?
$1,075.
That isn't much.
No. So, but it's still according to this article, still under investigation.
I feel like that's kind of lenient all around.
It is when you're going through, you basically were earning the trust of a bunch of wildlife photographers and getting,
I would say lose it for at least 10 years.
Figuring out where big deer were and then hunting those big deer in restricted areas.
$5,000 in 10 years.
I'd say some prison time.
Yeah, that too.
Never get your hunting license again.
Lock them up.
Hand over your guns.
Yeah, lock them up.
Throw away the key.
In Tonawanda, New York.
Yeah.
No less. But yeah, I wanted to share that. Phil shared that with me, and that was pretty cool.
Because people mess things up for everyone else.
They do. There's a bad apple in every group. Because most hunters every hunter that we meet is just really genuine. You get along with them.
Yeah,
great.
they're ethical and
no, I mean
good guys.
They tend to have the same morals and stuff that you do.
Yeah,
and they're just great people. And it's funny. I had someone comment on one of my wool videos, and I usually don't bring attention to negative comments, but this one kind of cracked me up. So it was a video on wool. And she's like, this video makes me not want to wear wool because I don't want to be associated with a deer hunter.
Oh my gosh.
I felt like saying some of the deer hunters are the greatest people you'll ever meet.
Oh.
And what's she doing watching your channel?
I know. That's what I was talking to another guy about that.
Well,
it's clearly.
If you can't get food someday.
Yeah, don't call me.
Don't call Hunter.
It clearly was the thumbnail was a picture of a wool jacket with orange. And that's the other thing. I wanted to say, well, why'd you watch it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
She is,
like and subscribe.
Don't forget to subscribe.
She's on the wrong channel.
Yeah.
So.
This makes me not want to wear wool, she says.
Bless your heart.
Well, it's more for me.
Yeah.
Find more in the used market. So.
Whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, I just.
Where does wool come from?
The woolly mammoth.
Right. But like we're utilizing animals.
That's right.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, obviously they're not being killed, but.
Right. They shear.
And to be honest, look, I don't. It's tough when you get a lot of when something becomes trendy, when it becomes a fad, because it just destroys the market. It makes it just so expensive. Look at bean boots.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that.
Those went crazy. Look at Carhartt stuff.
Yeah.
So there used to be quite a used market. Guys could get Carhartt stuff real cheap. Yeah. Now it's become like a fad.
Yeah.
To have rough, worn Carhartt clothes.
Yeah.
That have already been worn out.
Carhartt used to be, like you say, for the working person.
Yeah.
Now it's for the working person.
Now it's like a trendy thing.
And now,
it destroys it for the guys that are just trying to make a living, and that's what they use
the Stanley Cups.
Stanley Cups.
Let's get you on that.
You're guilty of that.
Yeah, kind of.
Knocking those things
I got
over.
One. I have one Stanley.
How many water bottles do you own?
Well, that's another topic for another day. But the Stanley's the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean.
Yeah, what do those cost anyway? Those Stanley.
I don't know, but people flock and go crazy when they're on sale for $30 or $40 at a store. So I'd been thinking about something. We'll kind of switch gears here and our topic for the day, which sometimes it's the little things in life that can be the most useful or valuable. And I did a video the other day on journaling, and writing has always been valuable to me, even though sometimes I think we all take it for granted, but sometimes, you kind of get out of track with things, and sometimes just the simplest things that you do in life can add the most value to your life. So Lacey's an occupational therapist, and So you actually use handwriting in your profession?
Predominantly with children. That's the focus, usually handwriting skills. Yeah.
And so for me, handwriting has always been, it's been how I learn the best. So if I write something down or to put something to memory, handwriting is really important for me. That's kind of how I learn.
It's a functional life skill.
It is.
You need it to sign documents, write checks, thank you cards, letters. I mean, that was for a while. That was all you.
That's the foundation of it. Mm-hmm. But there's a real valuable component to handwriting. And then just real quick with me, what has always been really good for me was, and I figured this out when we were in school, was if anytime that I wrote something down or rewrote something, like say if I took notes in class or something, and if I went down and just kind of rewrote it in an organized form, in a quiet, relaxed environment, I never forgot it.
Right.
Like I could hear someone tell me something and it goes in one ear and out the other. I do not remember auditorily at all. But if I physically write something down, I never forget it. And that's, so I did a video on the importance of journaling. And Dad, you've always journaled.
Yeah, you were talking about that, Paul. So I dug out my journals. I'm on my 5th.
Okay.
Yeah, my 5th book.
I've got 4 or 3.
Oh, you're catching up to him.
And I started, Paul, in May 5th of 1990 was the first entry.
Okay.
And you were in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you and Kyle and Mike and I had gone fishing up to Mud Lake.
Okay.
Yeah, May 5th, the ice had just gone out, and I just read it, and we caught 5 fish, and the weather's in there and stuff. And I've got pictures of that day. You remember on the deck when we had the red deck? You held, I think it was a 26-inch salmon.
Yeah.
We had.
That was that.
That was the first day I ever journaled. So.
Yeah. Like Derek had given me his journal from deer camp. And your first year up there, he did just a deer hunting journal.
Right.
Basically, it was just deer camp.
Yeah.
And sometimes his entry would be like one entry for the entire week.
Right.
Sometimes it would be a day-by-day entry.
Yeah.
Like if he had shot a deer, he had time when everyone was out deer hunting. So he'd have coffee in the morning and fill out his journal.
Yeah.
And so that was 1987.
Yeah, he was 3 years ahead of me.
So that, if you're looking at pictures and you're like, well, I wonder, so you start wondering some of the details. It's like, so there's an excellent resource right there to kind of dig into that.
Yeah.
And sometimes you misremember things. You think something happened and then you kind of are like, oh, wait, no, that didn't happen that way.
Right.
This was how.
Yeah.
So help us understand what's going on when you write.
Well, you've already talked about it in the video you did.
Yeah, but not everyone watches that.
It supports memory retention.
Yeah.
So there's the process, where the hand and the brain are talking together, and with kids, it promotes literacy and spelling skills. So it's why it's really important for kids to work on it and stick with it versus moving right into tech and typing.
Okay.
Because it doesn't facilitate and help as much as actual handwriting does.
Because you'd mentioned to me the age that someone should refrain from tech, at least a kid.
Yeah, I personally think children would be best. It would be better to refrain from using any type of tech until upper middle school age, at least 13. Okay. Only to work on typing skills. What we see now is you've got kids having access to individual iPads and laptops all the way down to pre-K now.
Yeah.
And there's less focus on handwriting. And when you think of handwriting, it's how letters are formed and how big are you sizing them and how legible is your handwriting, And when you rush through it and you don't have time to teach on those skills, you get bad habits. So by the time they're older, you know, you've got fourth graders that with illegible handwriting, or parents, you know, like I can't read my kid's handwriting. That's a hard thing to change when their
habits are hard to break,
unless they're very conscious about it and intentional. So yeah, and tech, just we need to get back to paper, pencil, and books.
Simpler things. Even so we were talking like the generation, or writing enhances creativity. Kind of helps you tap into.
Yeah, I mean, you've got creative expression. It helps with concentration. It just, the list can go on.
Yeah. Because I find, like, say if I prepare for something like this, or for like a video, I have to handwrite the stuff down, because I struggle creatively to tap into that side of myself. Like, I'm pretty much like a black and white, you know, yes or no. And it's hard to get into things that it's like, well, there is no right or wrong answer in the gray areas. And that's kind of the realm of creativity. And if I prepare for something, I have to get a pencil or a pen and paper, because once I start doing that, it's almost like the ideas come a little more, or a little easier, as opposed to sitting at the computer. Like, I don't know, I get nothing out of sitting at a computer typing.
Yeah, it's not going to benefit you the same way. There's a neurologist, Christina Capel is her name, and she said the brain is like a muscle, and it needs to stay fit with sustained focus and deep thought. So if you're not exercising that on a regular basis through like the task of handwriting, you don't use it, you lose it.
That's
concept, right? So if you think of the brain like a muscle, you have to continuously work on it to grow it, and then it can, you know, you can tap into other things.
Yeah.
And you're essentially helping the brain, both sides of the brain, talk to each other when you're engaging in tasks with that motor coordination piece, or that sensory sensory piece.
Yeah. So even, and I don't know anything about this, but you bring this up a lot, and it happens with handwriting, right? Like crossing midline.
Yeah, I mean, it can.
Like,
yeah. Like reaching across.
That? Like,
well,
I never think of.
You think of yourself like you've got two sides to your body. So if I took a line, drew it down the middle, you've got your left and your right. You know, how easily is it for you to reach across to the other side to get something? Or you'll notice with kids, more specifically, they, instead of reaching for something over across, they'll stay on the same side.
Okay.
You know, versus, and so that means, you know, that can mean, depending on what's going on, there needs to be some more communication between the two sides of the brain.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different things you can work on to facilitate that.
So crossing midline is important because that signifies that you're getting communication between both hemispheres.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's something I would never be observant of. You've noticed it with some of our kids.
Yep.
Like, you're like, okay, she's avoiding crossing midline. And I'm like, so?
Well, it's important because you want to be able to, you want those two sides talking to each other.
Okay.
So she's not avoiding, because it helps with, there's a motor coordination piece there too.
Okay.
That it ties into other things. So balance, you know, just moving their bodies in space, reaching for something, like if you're coloring something and, you know, you need to reach over to get something, you don't want to stop what you're doing and then like have to use the other hand just to stay on that side, right? Like you want to be able to move in both directions.
See, it seems so simple, but it's not very obvious.
It's obvious when you see someone else, struggling with it.
Yeah.
Same with music. Yeah. I know you mentioned music.
We can get into that in a minute after we get, because music's another big, and it ties into hunting and fishing for me too. And some people hate music, and it just blows my mind. But, so back to the journaling, and I know it's not like, so when I did that video the other day, I'm like, this isn't going to be a topic that a lot of people are going to want to watch, but I think it's important. And I think someone will find value in it. And those videos, they always end up being like someone finds, like it was meant for somebody. Maybe it was just one person. Maybe it was a handful of people. But journaling's a very simple thing.
Yeah.
It's a very simple act.
and we forget about it. Like just writing down our thoughts.
Well, when you're going to journal, we talked about the brain being a muscle. You're going to engage the brain in a more active way than typing does.
Yeah.
So you're activating the brain, which helps fight cognitive decline.
Yeah.
Journaling can decrease anxiety.
Which, Dad, you're fighting your cognitive decline.
Every time you journal.
Well, just a little interjection here. One of the things that I often read about, and I only journal, Paul, I probably should do it every day.
I don't do it every day.
I probably should. I've only journaled when I either did an activity in the outdoors, hunted or fished or whatever. But one of the things, and I'm sure Lacey and both you have heard about it, is they often talk about journaling about gratitude every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a way, and so I suspect that journaling, if you journaled about gratitude, I guess it would enhance your gratitude, your outlook in life and stuff like that, a more positive attitude. But that could go in any direction, not just gratitude.
Yeah, which will then there's research obviously showing it helps with immune.
Right.
It can improve your immune system. Right. It can literally change, like they're saying, it can change like the structures of your brain in a positive direction.
Absolutely.
Our brain is very plastic.
So, but you're tapping into the mind too when you're journaling.
Yeah.
So you're looking at, a greater mind-body connection, but then you're kind of unlocking maybe some processes that have been stuck emotionally or trapped. If you're focusing on gratitude, that can obviously help boost your mood and help you feel better that way. But there's a lot of research out there that's been used to use journaling as a way to kind of like get past some blocks.
That's exactly, that's what I'm saying. I've read so many articles on, health and self-help and stuff. And one of the things that I've read about over the years numerous times is journaling about your gratitude. Waking up every day and writing your positive thoughts down and how that can affect your life.
Just real quick, back to the gratitude part. We were talking about this, and I had someone comment on that video about that they like to write down all the good things that happen.
Absolutely.
And it's very important because...
Well, even your prayer journal, writing your prayers down.
Because I do that. Everything positive that's happened in my life, I have a running list because you forget about it. Because there's a lot of problems in life, and life's problems, you can make those become larger, and they kind of can squeeze out all the good stuff that's happened. Mm-hmm. And when you write down all the good stuff that's happened in life, it brings your focus back to, okay, not everything has been bad. And it puts more emphasis on that there's a lot of good in your life versus focusing on
it's like kind of
all the
what
bad
are you
stuff.
Focusing on?
And you forget about that stuff over time because we tend to be more concerned with our problems than we do with our blessings.
Right.
There's a book, The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, I believe is the author's name. And one of the things that she recommends is called The Morning Minutes, I think. I started a little bit, but it's like the whole concept is taking time. I believe it like as soon as you get up in the morning and just writing. Doesn't like just write, put your hand, pen to paper, and just write for a set number of minutes.
And so not writing anything intentionally, just start writing some thoughts.
Yeah. Whatever comes to mind. It could make sense. It cannot make sense. It could be just like random. But the whole, I think, thought process behind it is to like almost like cleaning out the cobwebs. And so that you're opening up space within yourself to tap into your creative potential.
Okay.
So I think journaling obviously has that same process involved because you're clearing out kind of things that you've been thinking about, or you're recalling what you did to put it down. But it's very much similar.
Yeah.
I think it's important though to everyone to like not worry about spelling and technicalities when you're journaling. Like don't worry. Like if you're a bad speller, like
I can be that way.
Don't get hung up on it. It's your journal.
Exactly. And more than likely, nobody's ever going to
Nobody's really going to read it. And that's not the goal or the focus of the journaling. It's like having that connection, that brain, body, mind connection.
Yeah.
And getting your experience down on paper. yeah, so that would be one thing if I want, like, if people want to get into journaling more, or it's not something they've been doing, if that is something that they're hung up on, like, don't let that get hung up. Just let it flow.
Okay.
Like, forget if you're a bad speller for the moment.
Yeah, I can be guilty of that. Of like making sure everything's technically right. And
like if that would be an obstacle or hindrance in the process or the
let it rip.
Yeah, let it go.
Yeah. So one thing for me though with writing stuff down is, and I mentioned this in the video that I did, is it's not just like remembering that event that I'm trying to record, and make a record of. It's also, I never forget the act of me writing and where I was when I did it.
Mm.
It's really weird when I go back and reread that. It was the same thing when I was in school. Like if I took an exam and someone asked a question on the exam, I could remember in the notebook where I wrote it and what I was doing when I wrote it.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I say it's
very weird.
It's a very sensory based experience. I mean, the brain, without your brain, you're not writing.
Yeah.
And so you're utilizing a lot of different parts of the brain, which then tie into the auditory and the visual, like your hearing, your sight, your smell.
Yeah.
It's the same way, like with music. I don't know when you want to.
Yeah, we can talk about music right now because a lot of people, if you ever look at social media and people that put music to stuff, you'll have people that they just want no music whatsoever. And I
don't understand that. I know some people really don't like it.
I can't imagine.
Do you like music?
I love music. Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
but do you like?
I'm not musical. I have no.
They don't have to be.
But do you just like seeing videos with music playing with it, or?
Yeah, I love music.
Like I love it when there's music tied to something.
There's
like music is always playing here.
It creates an emotion.
So it's the same thing, like the sensory thing you're talking about. Like you can remember things a lot more intensely and more vividly with like smells or sights, sounds. So when you got music, it helps, like I said, gets those two sides of the brain connecting and communicating more.
We've talked about this before.
And you can use it in a way to either excite your system or to relax your system.
Like all old country songs from like the late 80s and 90s. Anytime a song, like
Confederate
when I shot
Railroad?
Yeah, all that stuff.
Or I think your sister was, I like my women a little on
the...
Is that what that is?
Yeah, that was the one. Or like Joe Diffie, some of his stuff.
Joe Diffie.
Like I can remember.
Going to deer camp.
Yeah, I can remember like sitting in deer camp with that old radio up on the fridge playing and John Deere Green. And so when I hear John Deere Green, it brings me, it's like
transports you right back in time.
You can smell everything.
Yeah.
Just like a journal does, a journal entry.
So when people say like they don't like music, I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Well, it depends on, the music is an interesting thing. There's frequencies and beats and, there's the way people processing it are different for each person.
Yeah.
But if there's trauma involved too for individuals,
everyone has their own.
That's when, sensory experiences can also be not pleasant.
Yeah.
Smells or sounds can definitely trigger people in ways too.
Because look what music does to someone with Alzheimer's. If you go into a dementia
unit. Music should be in all the nursing homes.
And what happens to a dementia patient?
They liven up. If it's something that they connect with in their past, that like a positive time period, they go from like, a fetal curled up position to like their shoulders open up, they're smiling, they're happy.
There's like a period of normalcy while the music's playing.
It brings them right back and they're happier.
Yeah.
They're engaged, but then take that away and then it kind of reverts back.
Regress right back.
But I definitely think that's something we're not tapping into as much as we should be in our care for older people.
You use music as a therapy modality with kids.
For all ages, yeah. But more specifically for kids, you can use it to target self-regulation, better self-regulation skills.
All right.
Which can also help the whole like bilateral skills too, using both sides of your body, crossing the whole midline thing, which can also then play into the handwriting and legibility and how they draw and how they perceive things and how they can get it on paper. Music is powerful.
Yeah. See, it's all connected.
It all is.
Yeah.
It's all that brain. It's that big old brain.
And we need to get back to those foundations, I think, in life anyway. of critical thinking for yourself, right?
And you think about how kids growing, like getting ready to hunt, you've got to have strong foundational, like certain types of skills to be able to go out and operate a gun and be able to spot something in the woods.
Well, and plan for the hunt.
And plan for it. So there's a lot of executive, what we would call executive functioning skills, planning, strategizing, thinking ahead, just being calm, having the ability to have self-control within ourselves. And we are literally outsourcing today. We are outsourcing executive functioning skills of our kids to tech.
So you talk about calming yourself. I wonder if that's a treatment modality for buck fever.
Yeah.
Maybe we come up with a cure.
Carry a
Isn't that like in the moment,
put on
though?
a good song.
Isn't that just like come pretty quickly?
And it can come
and then it's gone.
Whenever on
But
anyone.
yeah, that adrenaline rush, right?
Yeah.
But I'm talking about like, if you can't hold up a gun, then you have the coordination to do that.
Yeah.
You just want to make sure that whoever's you're taking or working with, that do they have the strength?
Yeah.
The balance, those types of things.
Yeah.
Well, it's fading fast, but
but there's ways ways to modify that.
Yeah. Well, I'm working on it.
It's called a wheelchair.
Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying, like, you're talking about like we've lost some things, and like if it continues going the way it is, you're not going to see a lot of youth.
No,
being able to do certain things unless they're being exposed to it, or
we've talked in the past.
Families are doing it with them.
Yeah, not just writing. I've kind of been on this kick of the importance of writing stuff down and how good it is for you. But even like you look how people will write emails to you and stuff. It's written like they're texting you.
Well, that
we're not spelling you.
So the handwriting piece goes back to being able to have eloquent discussions and even be able to engage in like.
Look at how our forefathers wrote.
Like.
Oh, they were eloquent.
Even being able to have humor with each other.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, like that's being lost.
Yeah, if you look at a document like that.
Well, that's totally different. Like but just standard, like being able to have discussion and use proper language and grammar.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about that the other podcast, Paul. I was telling you that, and I can't remember the numbers, but because people are texting so much more and they speak so many thousands of words less a week or a day or something, so you're not using that ability anymore, the oral communication.
Use it.
You're using tech.
If you don't use it, you lose it.
And that's what I mean. Yeah.
And people obviously, just like you said with writing, Paul, we don't write like we did 300, 200 years ago.
Oh my God. I just look at their writings and
you look at Shakespeare or something. And
not just that, just kind of the common,
journaling,
the common guy.
So that goes back to like even with journaling, that allows you, because we are in such a fast, busy pace, inundated with all the things all the time. We're not meant to take on the worries of all the things that are going on in the world, and it's thrown in our face every day. Nonstop through social media. I mean, we have so much access than we were ever supposed to have.
Yeah.
So journaling is helpful to kind of like another way to decompress and to like calm yourself mentally, emotionally. So, because we're not going to get away from that.
Yeah. But there was another thing I wanted to talk. You were talking about music and bringing, memory and stuff. And I hear one particular song. It was the Allman Brothers, Lord, I Was Born a Rambling Man.
Mm-hmm.
And I go right back to a place, and you could look up the date of the song when it came out. And I was a little kid with my dad in a vehicle in the Stevens Camp dooryard. And it takes me right back. Every time I hear that song, it takes me literally right back to sitting in the vehicle. We were bird hunting.
Yeah,
and Dad always had the radio on, and that song had just come out and was popular. And I literally can go right back to that spot in the vehicle with my dad. So be interesting to see the date that song. I'm thinking late 60s.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. So Lacey, periodically we'd be in a restaurant or something, a song would be playing, and I would tell her the date that the song came out.
Yeah.
And she's like, how the heck do you know that? And I'm like, because that was the year I shot my first buck, or that was the year that, and those were songs that like have live in my mind.
Yeah.
And I know the exact time.
Well, unfortunately, poor Lydia, our oldest, can't tolerate Gordon Lightfoot anymore.
Oh, I love Gordon Lightfoot.
Because of that bad experience we had.
Yeah, we had a bad camping experience, and we were Gordon Lightfoot was our camping music.
Last summer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had someone kind of terrorizing all the campsites and terrified Lydia. Now she associates
and that
Gordon
goes,
Lightfoot
because that's what was playing in the vehicle when we were trying to leave the site, you know, and it was a scary evening.
It was.
And so anybody who's listening.
So even this day, because I'll have Gordon Lightfoot playing in the truck and she gets in and she's just like,
she just tenses she has a full body reaction to it. It really bothered her.
And she had good memories before that because you always played that on your camping.
Oh, she'd love it. She'd tell me to put it on and play it here at home.
Right. That was your thing. That was playing music. Gordon Lightfoot going up camping with your kids.
Yeah.
Now it's Waylon Jennings.
Now we moved to Waylon Jennings because we
created a new one.
Positively associated with that.
We'll pray nobody ruins that one for her.
I hope at some point she can work through that and come back to accept Gordon Lightfoot.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, he was good. I like to listen.
He had a lot of good tunes.
We saw him live.
Yeah, down to Bangor or Orono or whatever.
Down at the Collins Center for Performing Arts.
Yeah.
Lacey was like, she looked at me and she's like,
I had never listened.
We are the youngest ones here by about 30 years.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, that's definitely my age group there.
I was like, where are we?
That was payback because she made me go to the Nutcracker.
Yeah.
The ballet.
And that was terrible.
Yeah, but some music, and I think Gordon Lightfoot is one of them.
I enjoyed it.
It transcends generations and stuff.
It does, yeah.
Old dance records.
CCR is another one. I mean, they're still playing CCR.
Kids love that.
We play that and bird hunting too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our bird hunting music.
But yeah,
some of it.
So, strong associations, positive and negative.
Yeah.
So I wonder how many hunters, I'm sure there's a lot that will be listening to this that they have a lot of memories tied to music and hunting.
All 7 people.
17?
Well, that's
you're 17 listeners.
Or I wonder if they use music at all.
So I've mentioned the whole music connection with different hunting experiences, and people have reiterated the same thing, that there's
pretty common
there's
across
songs
the board.
That they hear to this day that just brings them back to whatever point in time they were at when they heard that.
Yeah, like I say, that's one that there's a lot of them, like you say, with Joe
some
Diffie,
of it's
John Deere Green.
Some of it's not even they're not even songs that I would have listened to at the time, but I like them now because of the connection that they have with that experience.
Yeah, you'll have to look up, Paul, and the Allman Brothers there and see what year that came out. I'm thinking it was late 60s, maybe early 70s. So I probably wasn't 10 years old at the time. I was born in 58.
73.
73. Okay, I was. Yeah. I was about 14. Mm-hmm. I was 14 at the time. My birthday's December, so this would have been October.
Yeah.
Of 73.
Vivid memory.
Yeah.
So we're talking about you said October, Dad?
We were bird hunting.
Yeah, it's release date August 1973.
Yeah, and I know it was because it was playing all the time. I know it was the year that it came out. Because it was quite popular at that time, and you know how songs are. They don't last a year usually. No. I mean, they're a few months, and then they're something else.
Do you need music to pump you up at all, Paul, when you're going hunting? Get in the mood, or does it just come naturally?
No, I'm always excited for hunting. Yeah. Anything that's hunting related, whether it's a book but I have a 90s country list, like on Amazon or Pandora or whatever. And I'll start playing that music just before hunting season. Yeah. Because it kind of gets you in it. So, I read the same hunting books over and over and over.
So you don't tie it like classical to the hunting? Like you tie more of the country genre?
That's what I listen to. He's the same way as I was, Lacey. He heard country music in my vehicle, and the only time we would spend any appreciable length of time in a vehicle was bird hunting.
Yeah.
So you were the exact same scenario as my father and me.
When we're not bird hunting as a family, or I'm not with you, what do you listen to?
Actually, and more so now.
We don't really listen to a lot of like country when we're
if I'm by
hunting.
myself, and I had told maybe it was Hal Blood. We get talking about podcasts anyway. I save hunting podcasts for when I'm going to be in my vehicle the most. So I don't listen to a lot of them like this time of year.
You mean like driving up?
I save them.
Right, but like when you're
I download them.
when you're in there in the woods.
Yeah, no, I'll save.
You're listening to podcasts
I'll turn on
while you're bird hunting.
Yeah,
with
don't I, Dad?
Even the two of you?
Yeah,
I don't have a phone or anything to do that with now.
But when you're together, what do you guys?
Podcasts.
A lot of them.
Oh my gosh, you're doing podcasts?
Yeah, so a lot of them he's already heard because he listens to them currently. I try to bank them.
I listen to them working out
because I'm gonna have a lot of time.
So you're looking for birds, bird hunting, and you're listening to a podcast. Yeah. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's so dry.
Yeah. Or if I'm not with you guys, or it's going to be a 90 countries.
Okay, so you do go back to the 90s
go back and
country.
Forth, but now
you go back to the 90s country though.
Yeah.
So you don't have like CCR or Waylon Jennings on, or
no, I don't listen to a lot.
That's like our family thing.
Like, yeah, because the kids aren't going to get like, Shania Twain, Faith Hill, Garth
You listen
Brooks.
to that?
I just it's on.
Man, I feel like a woman.
It's just on whatever comes up.
Yeah.
And it's
Let's
not
go,
that
girls.
see. It's not that I actually like.
But that's what was playing
Shania
back
Twain?
in the 90s.
But you like.
But it brings me back.
And Faith Hill. Okay.
Brings me back. Tim McGraw.
Yeah.
I'm an Indian outlaw.
Kenny Chesney.
Makes me think of
what about
ice
Kenny
fishing.
Chesney?
Yeah, Kenny Chesney.
Diamond Rio.
Who was the guy that married Lori Morgan? He had one about...
Oh, Sammy Kershaw.
Sammy Kershaw.
Yeah. I love Sammy Kershaw.
Yeah.
Toby Keith.
Yeah, writing on the water tower or whatever. Yeah. I remember that was a deer hunting one too that we had.
Sammy Kershaw,
Well,
my
girls,
redwood deck or whatever it was.
I think the girls would enjoy some Shania.
Double
wide trailer.
Yeah, double wide trailer.
Double wide trailer.
Queen of my double wide trailer. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah,
I made
Sammy
her the
Kershaw.
queen of my double wide trailer.
Podcast. I can't imagine driving.
So I save them up.
Okay.
Because like if I get a long trip, like I would be traveling from say Ashland over to where we were. I had like an hour to go.
Well, I
would save those podcasts
that, but I'm
up for
talking
when
about
I
like
was-
when you're actually in the woods and you're hunting.
If I haven't gone
you're
through them all,
shooting birds, like that seems so dry to have podcasts playing.
I'm dry.
No, it's
I've never claimed to be super interesting.
Call multitasking, Lacey. That
I associate that with I want music playing in the background.
No, sometimes I've got nothing going.
Okay.
It's just me thinking about stuff.
Yep.
Wondering where the heck all the birds are.
Everyone's different.
But I've switched now. I never
Actually,
listen to music in the.
Not anymore.
I never. I put on teachings.
So is that an age thing?
I
Like
don't
because you
know.
said you had
just,
country playing all the time when he was
I
little.
don't want to get all like religious, but the secular, I put on teachings and stuff, and I listen to teachings on. And
you don't listen to Cardi B?
You weren't. He's like, I don't know. Do you know who Cardi B is?
I have no idea who
You wanna
Cardi
talk
B
about
is. I
secular
think
stuff.
I've heard the name and stuff, but
I couldn't tell you a song.
name a song or anything.
So you weren't listening to that in your 30s then? Teachings?
No, I wasn't. No, I was listening to WDHP.
Well, I guess that there's a saying, wisdom with age.
Yeah. I'm big into and my wife likes music, and I like teachings. I listen. That's what I listen to.
I feel like for me, that's why I'm saying the teachings are kind of dry, because I'm like, I would want to just focus on the teachings. Like I'd have trouble like focusing on the birds and then trying to focus on what I'm listening to at the same time.
Yeah.
No, deer hunting that would be. But I mean, how much do I have to focus bird hunting?
Yeah.
I'm kind of.
I don't know. I don't know. Like for me, I like to just kind of look at nature and like see everything around me. I don't want to be distracted with.
Well, that's if
words.
we're out walking. That's
Yeah.
that's for sure.
This is if I'm in a vehicle.
Yeah.
I don't have headphones
traveling
on.
to and fro.
No, but even in the vehicle, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to try it sometime.
But I can guarantee if you get in my truck or car or my truck right now, the radio would be off. It's never on. My radio's never on.
And
Unless, like I
sometimes-
say, I find a teaching on radio and I listen to it, and I can't. What is it? Bluetooth because I have a flip phone. So
A jitterbug.
those days. Well, thanks, Lacey.
He's got a telegraph.
That goes in
he's going to pull the antenna out.
With my, what'd you say, my lack of balance and loss of strength.
I didn't say that. I was saying people in general.
Diminishing eyesight.
Well, your cognitive decline, though, is doing good, though.
Yeah, well, I think so. I work on it a lot.
Yeah.
How was we get a little off topic there?
Well, bring us back.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Well, journaling. Hey, anything else you want to throw in there about?
I don't know.
Occupational therapist?
Get yourself one.
Wisely,
a journal or
an OT, both.
Yeah.
Get yourself both.
Yeah, journaling. I could say this one thing: everybody should do it.
Yeah, it'll only enhance your life.
It'll only make your
life.
At
all ages. Like I have the girls' journal.
Yeah.
Daily, like draw a picture with some of their thoughts, whatever they're thinking for the day, or something that's happened or they've experienced. But I think with hunting, especially, and being outdoors, and it's something that's going to benefit you.
Yeah, when you get
regardless.
And it's funny. I had a guy comment. He's like, I've journaled since I think like 87 or 90 or whatever. And he's like, it's everything that's happened, hunting, divorces. He goes, it's all there.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's awesome.
Like a diary.
It's all there.
I'll turn it into a memoir.
Events.
I love memoirs.
Yeah.
And learning about other people's life stories.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And some of it, generally mine was all pretty generic. It was just the weather, where we were, what we saw for wildlife. But some of it can be pretty emotional because, like, there's deaths of you. I may have gone hunting a few days after the death of a parent or a loved one or something. And I always put it in there, that, Dad died November 13th, 1992, and I shot a buck just a few days after. And that was emotional. You're going through the high of, shooting a big buck, and your father had just passed, and I would have to go back and look, but it was in the journal. But it was an emotional thing that happened there.
What was it? November.
He said 13th.
He died November 13, 1992.
And you went deer hunting.
And we went up to deer camp a week later, Thanksgiving week. So maybe a little more than a week later, and I was successfud right off the bat. That I'm giving.
That was a 10-pointer.
The 10-pointer, 190 pounds. I remember that.
You saw a deer coming in. You were leaving deer hunting the first day, right?
Yeah.
Coming out, and you see a bunch of deer going in and out of the spot.
You
went back in there the next day.
I gone in a little further in the woods in a different area, and I come out. We had some snow that day, and during the day, like 6 deer had gone across that road. So I said, well, Tuesday, and I know it was I said, I'm going to that spot, and I get in there, and there was deer tracks right there, and I started down. I didn't go, I don't think, 15, 20 minutes before I shot the deer.
Yeah.
So, and that was 92. I remember it because of my dad passing.
Yeah. That deer you hit.
In the neck.
He wasn't hit hard.
No,
he just wanted to bed down.
But he just kept bedding down.
You shot him running.
Yeah. Yeah, I kept being in a hurry and not taking my time and being excited. I kept jumping him up. I didn't go as slow as I should have. And
yeah, you got him though.
So I pushed him off the road enough so it was a pretty good drag to get him back. If I'd killed him where he first bedded down, it was close to the road. So, yeah, like I say, that's how I remember that.
He would have been over 200 earlier in the year.
Yeah, he was, 190.
Yeah.
Nice 10-pointer. I think it was an older deer too by the looks of
short tines on it. And
yeah. A lot of gnarly stuff down at the base there.
A lot of good mass to it too, but no tines.
Yeah, short tines.
No tine length.
Yeah. Did you journal at all the day that you guys both shot a deer?
I didn't.
When you started this channel?
No, Dad probably did.
Oh, always, definitely. Yeah. Anytime I've
got video footage.
I never missed a day.
Well, I know you got video footage, but did you journal, write it?
I'll have to look. I don't think I did that day.
Yeah.
It's been sporadic since I've been doing video. Because I've used kind of the excuse that video is my journaling, but I still do it more often when we're out fishing because there's something about sitting.
Yeah.
And we fish in the evenings. So usually the afternoon, it's beautiful, hot.
I should have brought my journals
and I'll sit by the pond.
Could have read some excerpts.
And spend hours just writing because I've got it just really, I enjoy it. Deer hunting, you know, you deer hunt all day long. I get back to camp and sometimes you're tuckered out and want to get in bed. I'm less apt to do it now that I'm recording stuff, but I need to be more cognizant of doing it there.
Well, I think it's another way, you know, it's a way to process different things. Like if you're going through grief or had major change or loss, or, you know, it's another, I'm not saying it replaces a counselor, but it's a tool, definitely a tool that they recommend people to use. So it can definitely free you up to be in your best state of mind, you know, before you go out on the next hunt. Or as you're going, like if hunting season's coming up, you know, it might not be a bad idea to start the practice of journaling, you know, a month ahead. To kind of get your head in the game and free up any stress or something you've been carrying. Yep. So you can have you know, really enjoy the season. Yeah. Even more.
Yep. Anything else to add there, Mrs. Mo?
Where did that come from?
Oh, it's me being creative, you know.
So you're Mr. Mo?
No, I'm not Mr. Mo.
Okay, because we can play it that way too. I don't know. I have some ideas. I think if you wanted to, I don't know how many, you know, people on your channel have youth, you know, kids or
I'm sure
grandkids, but it'd be cool to incorporate some sort of, I don't know, something where we could have a little journal
competition
contest, or I don't know.
She always wants to give something away.
I always want to do a giveaway. So I'm like, I don't know, you know. Plus it, you know,
no wonder I don't have you on here very
engages
often.
the youth. I know a young gentleman. Should I give him a shout out?
Yes.
Mr. Kaysen.
Yeah.
Morneau. Yeah. He's quite a fan.
Is he a fan?
He's a fan of get outside. It's good for the soul.
He reminds
you of that,
Kaysen,
if you're watching this or hearing this. But yeah, there's some younger, you know, kids that
we'll have to hook them up with that.
I think it might, I don't know, something you can, that's just my thoughts. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll come up with something.
I just want to do a giveaway.
Maybe something prior to, I know you do. It's all sort of give everything away.
Yeah.
No, but I think.
No, giveaways are good.
I mean, this was the topic you brought up. So.
Sounds like Kaysen's getting a hat and he doesn't have to win it.
Sounds like it. I'll take it off Lacey's allowance.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if you'd ever want to do that, but.
Yeah. We'll find a time to do something like that. Maybe some big announcement or something like that. We'll do something.
But you can't go wrong with journaling.
No, absolutely not. No. And it's something that I think we tend to forget about because it's one of the simplest things you can do. You know?
You have a brain. You have fingers and hands that move.
I mean, anything that writes.
Put it all together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you get?
Sometimes we find ourselves in life, we just, I'm not going to take the 5-10 minutes that it takes to do that. And it never took me very long because it wasn't extensive. Like I say, I think it got more, you know, it's funny because I think it was more just the numbers, you know, real simple when I first started, and it became more elaborate as I've gotten older. I would write longer and put more thought, you know, more of my thoughts in it than just the day, what the weather was, what we saw.
Listing things out.
Yeah.
I think it's okay starting out. Like start out with what you have. Yeah. Don't feel like you have to write a book or a certain number of pages. But you might be surprised as you build the habit more and continue with it.
What matriculates into?
It'll grow, you know, you might, if you can just be intentional about slowing down enough to start something.
Yeah.
Or like just a few minutes. Because we do live in such a fast-paced world.
And that's been one of my big purposes of this channel was to maybe just give people the inclination that we need to find time to slow down.
Yeah.
And get outside.
That's what that's what the outdoor activities are for.
It's always been because your mind can get racy.
Yeah.
When you're like into the 9 to 5 grind every day and you get almost like a version of ADHD.
It's going to get squirrely.
And you get outside for a little while. And I always say, like, my first day deer track.
Takes a little bit.
I almost get dizzy.
Kind of to get, or acclimate to
right.
the quiet and the sounds.
It's weird. But then you spend that whole month, like, just
you feel good
doing it. And after about a week, you're like really.
You find your rhythm and
really into it. But the first day or two.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't use the muscle, it gets,
you're like, God, can I even hunt anymore?
If you don't use your muscles, they get flabby, right?
That's
and they're not strong.
That's
so it's the same with the brain. So journaling is one way to keep your brain healthy.
Sure is. Yep. Well, good. I think that about covers that. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having
hungry,
me.
Paul?
Yeah, did you hear that?
I did. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good sound.
That is.
I feel good when my stomach rumbles. So
no, thanks. It was fun. We'll do it again more. We'll do it more often.
We'll see how often we do it after how many people are like.
But it doesn't matter how many.
Who cares?
Like I kind
that
of.
was a drag.
I know. I mean, I don't make. I make videos with the intent that someone needs to hear.
No, I know
something, and usually it has to relate with something and how I'm feeling. Otherwise, it's not going to be authentic. If I'm trying to sit there and formulate a topic for something with the idea that it's click, or it's going to be clicked and viewed, and I'm looking to try to whatever's going on in the world, trying to capitalize on that.
Exactly.
It's not me.
No.
So I don't have any.
Well,
I just don't go down that road.
Hopefully that this is something someone needed to hear.
Yep. And if not, well, you heard it anyway, I guess.
Yeah.
Take what you want.
Yeah. So, alrighty. Anything else, Ed?
No, I'm good.
All right. I guess that sums that up. So until next time, get outside.
It's good for the soul.
She took Dad's saying.
He pointed at me.
Yeah, I wanted Lacey to say it.
See ya.
He'll say it next time.
Okay. See ya.